All right, welcome back. In this episode, we are going to dive into reparenting, how you can reparent yourself, reparent that wounded inner child within you who is lashing out, acting out, reacting, and responding in those same emotional patterns and loops that you're not proud of and you're trying to break free from, but you can't. You can't do it on your own. And the reason why that is because these patterns and these reactions are rooted in your subconscious mind. So, this episode is going to support you in giving you the tools to subconsciously reparent that wounded inner child within you so that you can break free from the cycles that are holding you back and keeping you stuck and feel free from the inside out to live the life that you want to be living, not the one that you feel stuck in because of the trauma and the negative experiences that you've gone through throughout your life. My name is Gianna Bedot. I am a certified hypnotherapist, somatic coach, meditation teacher, and spiritual guide. And if you do feel that you need deeper support beyond what you receive here in this episode today, make sure you check out the resources that I have linked for you in the notes below. And especially make sure you grab access to the Rewired meditations. I've recorded over 50 meditations and subconscious activations to help you go deeper within yourself, unlayer, rewire, and reset your nervous system at the deepest level of your being, your subconscious. So you can check out those audios linked in the notes below. All right, let's dive in. This topic of reparenting and healing your inner child and breaking free from the trauma loop that you have been stuck in really isn't talked about enough. We are always talking about healing and self-growth and self-development, but what is left out of the healing space of self-development conversations is that the healing work and the self-development work that really needs to be done is rooted at the subconscious level of your mind, which means it does not matter how much healing work, how much self-growth work, how much coaching you receive at the conscious level. These patterns, these emotional reactions, these loops that you have been stuck in for maybe your entire life are wired in your subconscious mind, which means no matter what you do on a conscious level, no matter what actions you take, you cannot break free from these reactions, these patterns, whether they are emotional, mental, physical. You cannot break free from them unless you do this work at the subconscious level of your mind. Yes, your efforts at a conscious level may start to make you feel better. And when I say your efforts at a conscious level, I'm referring to traditional coaching, maybe talk therapy, reading books, doing basic level mindfulness meditation, yoga, working out, taking care of yourself, self-care. All of these things, yes, are so important and will make a difference and will make you feel better. They're not going to actually heal you at the subconscious level of your being, which is where these patterns are rooted and stored. So, to actually heal, to actually break free from the patterning, emotional, physical, spiritual, whatever the case may be, you have to do this work at the deeper level, the subconscious level. Now you have two minds. You have a conscious mind and you have a subconscious mind. Really quickly, let me break down how these two levels of your mind work because it's really important in understanding how this healing and rewiring and reprogramming actually needs to take place. So your conscious mind is the mind you're actually listening to this in right now. It is your mind that you can consciously control, the things that you consciously choose to do every day. Now, your subconscious mind is all of the things that you don't choose, that happen on autopilot, that happen automatically, that you do without thinking about it. Now, these are your reactions, these are your patterns, these are the things that you've trained yourself to do without needing to think about it through repetition. This is your subconscious mind. And 95% of everything that you do, think, and act is rooted in your subconscious, which means 95% of the time you are speaking, acting from an unconscious place. You are acting on autopilot per the programming that is in your subconscious, per the programming that you received growing up from the adult figures in your life, per the programming that you have chosen to give yourself from belief systems that you've adopted, from belief systems that you've chosen to adopt from a mindset level, and also from actions that you've chosen to adopt through physical repetition. So your subconscious mind loves repetition. So here's a really simple example of how your subconscious mind works. When you were a child, you did not know how to brush your teeth. You had to be taught how to brush your teeth. And through repetition throughout your life, now every morning, hopefully, when you brush your teeth, you don't think about, okay, how do I do this? You probably don't even think about the process at all. You just grab the toothbrush, you put the toothpaste on it, and you go through the process. You're not thinking about it. You don't need to put in effort to try to figure out how to do it because your subconscious has been trained per the repetition through the physical repetition of brushing your teeth every day throughout your life, how to do it. It's the same thing on how you just arrive home every day. You don't need to think about the steps on how to drive home to your house. You have trained your subconscious to automatically bring you home per the repetition of driving home and landing in your driveway every single day. This is how the subconscious mind works, which is a good thing because over time, the repetitive process of the mental, physical, and emotional patterns that you have created today, they have been created through repetition, through time, through space of repeating the same emotional patterns, the same physical actions over and over again, which means you can rewire and undo whatever is not serving you. So, your subconscious mind, really quickly, is responsible for everything that you do unconsciously, all of the things that you do not need to think about doing. Your conscious mind is the conscious, intentional things that you do have to think through every day. And this is your willpower. This is the intentional thought that you are putting into things when you're learning something new, for example. And we're only using that part of our brain 5% of the time. So, most of the time, here's another example when you're having a conversation with someone you love, and perhaps it's even a heated conversation, you're not consciously thinking, okay, what do I say next? Right? The conscious mind is not part of that equation. You are subconsciously, unconsciously responding per your own programming on how to handle tough situations and how to handle heated discussions and how you are triggered by that individual. So the subconscious, very powerful, very important, responsible for quite literally everything you're doing every day. And your subconscious is wired by the experiences that you have gone through throughout your life. This includes traumatic experiences, especially as a child. So, how do we end up with a wounded inner child? We end up with a wounded inner child within us when we go through something traumatic as a child that we do not properly process and heal from at the subconscious level. That is how you end up with a wounded inner child. So, what happens when you have a wounded inner child living within your subconscious? You end up having negative reactions, emotional reactions that you're not proud of. You're lashing out, you're acting out, you're very reactive, and you're stuck in patterns and loops that you want to break, but you can't break free from. And the reason why this is, again, you haven't healed this part of you. This is, yes, a part of you, even though you're not that child anymore. That child is still a very real part of you. It is embedded in your subconscious per the memories that you have experienced throughout your life. Your subconscious holds every memory that you've ever gone through, even the memories that you do not remember. So if there are things that you do not remember about your childhood, rest assured your subconscious holds all of those memories. So if you've gone through something that's really traumatic on a conscious level, you may have forgotten about it to protect yourself, but the subconscious remembers, and the subconscious is trying to keep you safe always. And so to keep you safe, your subconscious may cause you to self-sabotage in your work, in your relationships, in your parenting, in all of the things that you're doing in your day-to-day life because of your programming, because of the things that you've gone through. So, for example, if you find yourself lashing out and yelling at your kids a lot as a mother or a father, you likely have programming or experiences or memories that are stored in your subconscious that are fueling that behavior. So, even though you do not want to react by yelling and lashing out at your kids when they trigger you, you still do it because that is your programming for whatever reason. Perhaps that's what you went through, or perhaps that's how you learned to get your attention, or perhaps it's how you learned to get attention when you were a child. Whatever the case may be, that programming is rooted in your subconscious. So whether you want to react like that with your children or not, your reaction is yelling because that is your programming. And so the good news is we can rewire it, we can reset it through this world of inner child healing, of reparenting yourself. Because many of you may have had parents that did not have bad intentions, were just parenting you based on how they were parented, or some of you may have had really troubling, traumatic experiences with the adult figures in your life. Either way, you were not properly taught how to heal. You were not given the tools to process whatever it is you went through, whether this was trauma on a really big scale, something really traumatic that you went through, whether it was multiple big traumatic events, or maybe it was love you didn't receive or parenting that you didn't receive. And the trauma is a low level trauma, little t trauma, as I like to call it. So big T traumas are the traumas that you go through that are big, traumatic, really milestone experiences in your life. And then there's also something called little t trauma, where you have these small, maybe consistent traumatic experiences, love that you didn't receive, or perhaps it was an aggressive parent that you experienced every day throughout your entire life, that have also shaped you. So whether it's big T trauma or little t trauma, whatever the case may be, these traumas shape your subconscious and shape your reactions and emotional patterns today as an adult. And if you were not given the tools to properly heal and process and learn how to deal with what you went through as a child, then you have this wounded part of you who is reacting out and acting out. And the reason why this part of you is acting out and lashing out is because this part of you wants your attention. This part of you wants your focus, wants your healing, wants the nurturing that you did not receive that you always needed. So, reparenting yourself, here's the best way to think about it. Think about how you would handle a child who was screaming, hurt, in pain from going through an emotionally troubling experience. Perhaps they came home from school, they were bullied, someone said really mean things to them, they were emotionally distraught, emotionally hurt. How would you properly and effectively nurture and nourish that child? What would you do? Would you push them away? Would you say, get over it? Would you push them aside and say, oh, no worries, that's over with? What would you do? No, if it were your child or a child you cared about, you would nurture, you would comfort, you would hug, you would do anything in your power to help them feel better, to help them heal from whatever experience they went through that hurt them on a deep emotional level. And so this is what your inner child is requesting of you. Your inner child is asking you to reparent. And by reparenting, we simply mean giving yourself what you always needed and did not receive on an emotional level. So on an emotional level, reparenting yourself means giving yourself the nurture and attention and focus that you always needed and did not get. So how do we do this? Here is a beautiful process that you can do today. Now, disclaimer, if you know that you went through very serious big T trauma, it is extremely important that you do this work with a professional, someone who is an expert in inner child healing, who is a trauma-informed hypnotherapist, who is an expert in the subconscious mind, who can actually support you in doing this work so that when these deep emotions and these experiences are revisited and are re-triggered, you have the tools to properly work through them. Very important. And if you need support finding that person, or if you feel called to work with me one-on-one to do this healing work, check out the application in the notes below to work with me one-on-one. Just simply fill it out and I will reach out to you via text and we can talk a little bit more about what's going on and if working together is a good fit. And if I don't think us working together is a good fit, I will direct you into the right space to begin your healing journey. Now, here's a process that you can do on your own if you want to just dive into this work, if you know you've been through any level of little t trauma or programming that you want to rewire, that you want to reset. Here is something that you can do. You want to close your eyes and get into a very relaxed state. Now, for some of you, this may be a little bit difficult. Relaxing is quite hard, especially for those of us who have been through trauma, which again, I know because this was me. This is how I got into this work. I went through a lot of trauma growing up, big T trauma and little t trauma. So when I first started my healing journey, closing my eyes felt really painful. So if you feel like it's difficult, if you feel like it's hard, just know it's normal and you are not alone in this process. But start it out, and the more you do it, the easier it will be to go within, to look at yourself on this deeper level. So you want to close your eyes and simply go to a relaxed state. You can visualize a peaceful place in your mind, a safe, relaxed, peaceful place where you just drop in. Maybe it's a beach, maybe it's somewhere that you love, somewhere you've traveled to. Just go to that space. And in that space, you will ask your inner child to come forward. So step one is close your eyes, go to a peaceful, safe place. Step two is to ask your wounded inner child to come forward. And when that inner child comes forward, again, this may be painful. It may be stressful in a way. Just know it doesn't mean you should run from it. It means that you're finally in a space of true and deep healing. And when that child comes forward, the simple question that you really want to be asking is, what do you need from me? How can I support you? So this necessarily isn't about rehashing the past or revisiting trauma again. If that's something that you know you need to do or begins to happen, you need to do that with a professional. But this is a really simple practice to simply tap in and ask this wounded inner part of you, what do you need from me? How can I support you? And whatever answer you receive, you start giving that to yourself. That is step four. Step four is giving yourself the nurturing, the compassion, the self-care, the self-love that you always needed. And it's self-guided by you. It's not someone telling you what to do. It's you receiving answers from within yourself and acting on that. And that is the most powerful way to heal, is by receiving those answers from within and gifting it back to yourself. So that is the process and the practice that I highly recommend you can start doing today to begin this process of reparenting yourself. And again, if you do feel like that this is difficult, this is hard, this is challenging, this is bringing up high levels of trauma and deep memories, or you know there's deep levels of trauma and memories that you need to heal from, I highly recommend, please do this with a professional. I've been there. I know how this journey can be. Sometimes it hurts before it starts to feel better. And that's part of the process. Just by starting, you're already doing such incredible work for yourself. So this journey of reparenting really becomes about loving yourself, nurturing yourself, having compassion, applying love where there are deep-rooted wounds. And where you apply love to these deep-rooted wounds, that's where healing can begin. Right? So time doesn't always heal all things. As you know, if time healed, you wouldn't still be feeling this pain today. What actually heals our wounds is applying love to those wounded spaces within us. And this is the journey of reparenting yourself. It's applying love to those wounded spaces. It's not just letting time pass by and praying you feel better someday. That's not how this works. In fact, when you do that, you end up just pushing it down, and what you push down comes up in other ways. As we talked about at the beginning, What you push down comes up through your negative emotional patterns, through your reactions, through your bad habits. And you probably don't even know what those are half the time because they're unconscious and they're reactive. But you can put a stop to them by healing and by reparenting. So you're on this journey and you've started it just by listening to this. So re listen to this episode to properly write down the steps to that practice. And this is a practice that you can do literally every day just to check in with yourself. Hey, what do you need today? And the answers to those questions really kickstart your healing journey, giving you tools to simply get started. You can check out the resources that are linked for you in the notes below. And just know that simply by starting this work, you're already giving yourself such an incredible gift of healing, of love, of support. And self-love, self-healing, and support is the ultimate gift that you could ever give yourself. So if you need deeper support, check out the resources linked for you in the notes below. And if you loved this episode, make sure you subscribe and you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single episode along this incredible journey. And I'll see you next time.